You are an ex-Brighton player and an undefeated pro boxer. I think that's the full ticket, actually. That's the full Brighton story. So
when you're playing for a team like Brighton, you're trying to perform every session. It's not turn up and do a bit of this and a bit of that. Everything is trying to maximise your performance and try and become the best you can be.
I love that moment where he said to you, well, you've never felt pressure before, and you don't know what it's like to feel pressure, and you just said, look, my name's Eubank. The first time I got in the ring, I was under pressure.
When it comes to pressure, and you're not going to have felt more pressure than me in the boxing game, so I thrive on it, and I'm looking forward to displaying that again on the 7th of March.
Harlem, welcome back. It's always good to have you here. You are an ex-Brighton player and an undefeated pro boxer. I think that's the full ticket, actually. That's the full Brighton story. So it's really good to see you here
again.
Thanks
for having me. It's nice. It's like a second home here. You guys always make me feel at home, so it's great to be back.
Well, that's good. And I think before you came into this room at the training ground, you went to say hello to Lewis Dunk. Is that right? You played with him?
Yeah, him and Solly were eating lunch there. Just had a big quarter-pounder burger in front of him. I was asking him if that's on the set menu.
Oh, but how lovely that you got to see them both in one go. Two former teammates.
Yeah, no, it was great. It's good to see him here. Last time I was here, I didn't get to see them. I think they were hard at work. So nice to see them in a relaxed environment, eating their lunch and catching up. Are they going to come to the fight? We should say that you now fight Tyronne Mckenna on March the 7th at the Brighton Centre. The last time we saw you, you were going into another fight at the Brighton Centre. You're a lot further down the line now in your career. You're still undefeated after 20 fights. What has changed since you last came on the podcast? I think after the last podcast, we was going into our first homecoming fight at the Brighton Centre. Big step-up fight, and I managed to make a big statement in that fight and stop a German champion, So it was great to put on that performance in the first homecoming, and we had a great reception down there. It was a beautiful venue, and the people really came out to support and made a fantastic event. So a year down the line, a lot of improvements, a lot of training, a lot of refining, and a lot of growth. And we're ready to go back in for the second homecoming now against a fan favourite Irish fighter who's coming to bring it, and I'm excited. You fight fairly regularly, don't you, as a pro? And do you still feel that you're developing fast, or you haven't reached your kind of plateau yet, I imagine? I think I'm still developing for sure. I started boxing late. I started at 18, and that's pretty unheard of in boxing. A lot of kids start 5-6 years old. They're down the gym and they're constantly developing from then. And for me, I started at 18, so I feel like it's still pretty fresh to me. I still feel like I'm learning and developing, but I've also been in the gym over 11 years now, so I do feel like an accomplished fighter, like a contender that's ready to challenge. Almost ready to challenge for world honours. I do feel like I'm in that position, but I still know that there's a lot of growth to come. I think we're talking about 3 weeks before the Mckenna fight. Are you still in the thick of sparring? I guess you are. Yeah, it's pretty intense, the regime right now, and it's not too pretty. It's the fun bit is the fight now, is the hard graft, where you put all the grit and kind of determination in right now, and it all pays off on fight night. So we're in the thick of it right now, and yeah, it's not pretty. No, because everybody knows it's hard to get through the ropes on fight night. Everybody can understand that, but what people often don't see is the amount of time you spend in camp. Sparring, training, it's hard graft, isn't it? Yeah, for sure. A lot of from the outside, you think, the fight week and the fight might be the hardest part, but for me, it's really the 3-4 weeks that build up to the fight, where you're peaking in your sparring and you're putting in the rounds, you're taking on the damage in preparation, to get to a place where you're at your peak performance. You're at the highest level going into the fight, and we're in the trenches right now, prepping for for a great performance.
Well, it's very good of you to give up the time then, because I know that you do have to go into the zone in that period very much. But I guess you need your breaks as well. So you can't do that 24 hours a day, can you?
Definitely, it's nice to have a change of scenery. Obviously, from the gym, a slight break, and to see one of the best training facilities in the Premier League. Back in Brighton, it's amazing. It's a nice change of scenery, and it's good motivation as well to take back to the gym and prepare hard.
Wouldn't it be nice if fighters could have places like this to train in? Because in my experience of boxing journalism, fighters don't train in places like this. They train in underground gyms that are smelly and,
Yeah, it's a slightly different lifestyle, but you know what they say about the silk sheets. You know, sometimes you need that grit, you need that, you need that wear and tear. You need to be in environments that are gritty and that are, that do take you back and make you work. 'Cause sometimes when everything's pristine and you can get you can overlook what's in front of you and the work that you need to put in. So sometimes you have to, as a boxer, you're going to be at your best when you're in them environments that you don't have the facilities like this, and that's the difference between football and boxing. I guess it's a slightly different life of solitude that you need to embark on to be the best. In football, when you have the facilities, you have places like this, it's only going to make you better. And in boxing, it's slightly different.
Yeah, and of course, you said that you came to boxing, started professional boxing quite late, or relatively late, but of course, you were a player for the Albion between 12 and 16, and you said very clearly that that's where you learned the discipline and the rigour, and that gave you a really good grounding, actually, didn't it? Football gave you a grounding for boxing, weirdly.
Yeah, it's great as a kid, and I think it really sets you up because you're in an environment that's such a professional setup from early. You're training 3-4 times a week as a kid, and a game on a Saturday. So and again when you're playing for a team like Brighton, you're trying to perform every session. It's not turn up and do a bit of this and a bit of that. It's everything is trying to maximize your performance and try and become the best you can be. And that kind of carries through. And as a kid, that means you're not hanging out with your friends in the evenings. You're not going out on a Friday night because you've got a game in the morning. You've already started to embark on that that process that develops your character by kind of missing out on them things and sacrificing to better your life.
Yeah, so it's in your game now, it's a combination of technical skill and ring craft, but character. Without the character, the skill isn't much use to you, I guess, is it?
100%. When you're in a fight, it's all about character. I think there's not many practices that reveal character like when you're in a ring with another man that's trying to take your head off. It becomes very evident. If you've blagged your way, if you've missed out on sessions, if you've not unturned every stone, in your preparation, everything becomes clear when you're in the ring. So it is a real revelation of character, and it's a journey. Boxing provides kids at whatever level a journey to better their character and strengthen their character and take skills learned in a boxing gym that can be applied anywhere in life.
Yeah, and one of the other things that we see in boxing is obviously mind games and trash talk. And I was watching the press conference coverage of Tyronne Mckenna, who's quite an experienced pro now, isn't he? He knows how to sell tickets and also how to try to wind the opponent up. And I love that moment where he said to you, you've never felt pressure before, and you don't know what it's like to feel pressure. And you just said, look, my name's Eubank. The first time I got in the ring, I was under pressure.
Yeah, it's a part of the game, isn't it, to try and unsettle someone, or try and use your experience to to get one over. But yeah, for me, I've seen it all before as well, and when it comes to pressure, and you're not going to have felt more pressure than me in the boxing game. So I thrive on it, and I'm looking forward to displaying that again on the 7th of March.
When you say you've seen it all before, you haven't really been... Have you been trash talked much in your professional career?
Not loads, but there's I've had characters, be it guys that are like Mexican kind of road warriors that come over and try and upset the apple cart, kind of less fights that were lesser kind of I guess more building fights, but fights that you see glimpses of these things, as they play out, and you're not going to be thrown off by anyone trying to play these games, but it's all a part of it. It's, he brings an exciting style, and he's going to try and get under your skin, and I'm the wrong guy to do that with, and that will show out on the fight.
Yeah, you looked amused by it more than anything, which I think is the best response, because if you're trying to wind somebody up and they're just smiling at you, that it's not working, is it? So
you have to be. It's the art of war, as they say,
Yeah.
And you have to know how to overcome every kind of situation, and that's the mental part. A lot of fighters, they'll tell you, a lot of greats, it's 90% mental. And if you believe in what you can go in there and do, it's likely you're going to go in there and do that.
Yeah, you used the word war. That was the other thing he kept talking about, bringing a war, which we all know that means. What that means is a sort of like a relentless pressure, action, punch count. That doesn't bother you either, does it?
Not at all. That's what I'm built for. That's what I'm prepared for. I relish them type of fights, and I hope that's what we get.
Yeah, not many people hope for that kind of fight or that kind of job on a Saturday night. But so that in your last fight, you beat Nurali Erdogan in the 8th round in Newcastle. How did that go? How do you look back on that?
It was good. It was a guy that was, again, coming to try and upset the apple cart, and I had a lot of time out of the ring, with a lot of the politics of boxing not going my way after a big statement performance. So it was one to kind of put that all behind us and get cracking into the big fights. Obviously, that was last year, but into the big fights this year, and we're starting now with a big domestic dust up. So.
On terrestrial TV as well, on Channel 5, how much difference does that make to, profile and reach?
It's great because people, that aren't necessarily too interested in boxing, will come up to you and say, I see your fight on Friday night, and it gives you a whole different audience, and it's not necessarily an audience that's come to watch boxing, but an audience that's been captivated by it, by stumbling across it. So it's great because you can bring new eyes to the sport, and you can connect with an audience that will just be chilling out watching TV on a Friday night and come across you. So it's amazing.
Or coming back from the pub quite often.
Hey, yeah, coming back from the pub to see some scraps.
Yeah, it works. It's
all
a good
different audiences. But yeah, I think I said last time that I had an older lady come up and tap me on the shoulder, telling me she watched my fight the other night, and that was in like a TK Maxx or something. But I think I said that last time on the podcast. But you get all different types of people and bring them into the sport, whether it's someone that just come back from the pub or an older lady who's flicking through on a Friday night.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously the Eubank family is incredibly well known in Brighton. Are you recognised quite regularly now around the town?
I think as I bring these fights back home, especially, people are becoming more familiar. But no, it's just great to have that support, my hometown behind me as I go into these big fights and push on towards, great big achievements in the sport. So it's great to have your local support, Yeah.
We talked first time round about your football career, you were here from 12 to 16. You played in a lot of positions. You played left, right. You ended up as a kind of overlapping fullback, didn't you?
I was all over the place, but I had a bit of pace and a little bit of skill and the determination of a fighter, really, in football. So I was one of them guys that was 4 foot nothing, trying to go into 50-50 challenges with 6 foot, London clubs.
Yeah.
It was a great experience, and it definitely set me up, I think, for the path that I'm on now. The
game at Chelsea, wasn't it, the one you remembered most sharply?
Yeah.
I guess that was a real taste of the big time, wasn't it?
Yeah. We had a few. We played Chelsea twice, actually. We played it the first time we played them. We was I think it was a trial game for me. I think it might have been like under 11s, and the football icon. Do you remember the football icon program?
Yeah.
So it was like where Chelsea, they it's like a reality show where they're trialing different players, and the winner of the competition gets a contract in the under 21s or something like that. And at this point, obviously, Brighton were about 3-4 divisions away from the Prem, so it was a big thing.
Yeah.
Back then, now obviously we're better than Chelsea, but it was a game we was playing on the football icon pitch. So as little kids, we're watching the TV, we're playing on the pitch, and we ended up losing 14-1 to this like under 12s, under 11 team who had players from Portugal like all over the place. And I actually had a great game, but we just we got hammered. So but I remember playing them later on as I think under 15s, under 16s, and I'm sure we won that game. So yeah, we got to get back.
It's a huge couple of months actually for the Eubank family, because your cousin Chris Jr. is fighting Conor Benn in April. That fight has taken 2.5 years to come about for long-winded reasons we won't go into. But is there any crossover at the moment between you and Chris Jr. in terms of your, do you talk? Do you share ideas?
Definitely, yeah. We talk regularly. He's obviously a big inspiration for me as well, carrying the name forward in the sport, and obviously achieving huge things in the sport and making it seem possible. Obviously growing up as a kid as well, and being in the gym with him, and seeing him do it. My uncle done it, but at a time where I didn't live through it. So seeing my cousin Junior done it really kind of inspired me, because I can see, look, this is how hard he's working and this is what he's achieving. So it's like it's very real. Like if you embark on this path and commit to it and work hard, you can achieve as well. So definitely a big inspiration for me, and yeah, it's great to have him there for advice as well, and to just have him on the end of the phone as.
Yeah, I guess it's more relatable than Chris Senior, isn't it? Because it's right in front of you. Chris Junior's doing it now, and as what would be the main kind of lessons he would have taught you, do you think?
I think I've learned a lot of lessons from both of them. There's a lot of inspiration and motivation from what my uncle's achieved in the sport, and obviously, he got to the heights of boxing, and when I think of boxing in the UK, there isn't a name that stands out more than my uncle. So it's having that legacy, is a very big deal to try and follow in the footsteps. And he's always given me wisdoms and phone calls to spur me on as well, and help me grow in the sport. And same with my cousin, he's often given me nuggets of advice, and do this a certain way, do this just direction. I think it is a sport where you also have to do it by yourself. A lot of the things, no one can go in there and fight for you. You have to develop in the craft and go in there and do it for yourself. So it's more advice than anything that they both have kind of instilled in me, and motivation from what they've achieved to go in there and follow in their footsteps.
How many of them will be on March 7th for your fight with McKenna? Do you know? Will they all be there? All your family?
I think both of them will be there. I know Junior traveling a lot, but I'm sure Senior's going to be there, and hopefully Junior will too. If he's living out in Dubai at the moment, so he's between Dubai and Vegas. So hopefully we can get him. Hopefully if he's over here, then he'll be at the show as well. So
if you flicked them a look in round 2 or whatever, or at the end of one of the rounds, and that would give you inspiration rather than pressure, wouldn't it? And
yeah, only inspiration. But again, like when I'm in the ring, it's it's tunnel vision. Yeah. You know, I'm not looking at anyone outside the ring. You know, I'm barely looking to my coach for for guidance. And obviously, you know, his role is to try and drill it into me. But when you're in a fight, you have to be, 100% focused on what's in front of you, and everything else is background noise. But to see them after and to celebrate all the hard work is that's where it's at. That's where it comes into fruition. So.
Yeah, because I guess in a fight, every single second counts, doesn't it? You switch off for 10 seconds.
You can't switch off.
You're asking for trouble, aren't you?
Yeah. It only takes a split second to lose concentration and be on the end of a shot. So it's a game where you need your full attention and your full focus in there, and that's how I go about my business, and that's how I plan to take care of business on 7th of March.
Yeah. The lads that you played with, are you in touch with many of them still that when you were here? Apart from Lewis Duncan, Solly March.
I mean, I follow them both and and see their progress, but yeah.
But the lads who drifted out of the game and were released. Do you?
I see. I see a few of them regularly, but there's different. A lot of everyone's on a different path now.
Yeah.
So it's good to see, and I randomly just 40 minutes ago I see another kid that used to play for the club at the same time, and he's doing something different now. And I've got a lot of long-term friends from them times as well that are off in different routes and different paths. So it's great to see them and see what they're up to now, and kind of reminisce on them times as a kid, and also see the success of these boys that are here at the club.
Oh, absolutely. Would most of them be doing what you'd call ordinary jobs? I guess the other lads you played, not the ones in here, but the ones you played with that have.
Yeah, I mean some have had success studying after and going into different fields, and some are also playing football on the side for different teams, and also following on from their studies or whatever they've gone into next. So a lot of people doing different things, but it's nice to hear their story and how they've formed successful paths from being a little kid playing football for Brighton.
Well, you are the only man getting in the ring with the hardest man in Ireland, and I call him the hardest man in Ireland because that's what he calls himself.
Yeah, self-proclaimed
hardest man. And when I heard that, I as I said to you before the show, I thought that's a big claim. There's some tough guys in Ireland. So
it's a heavy on boxing heritage island. So yeah, if you're the toughest man in Ireland, then you're that's your name's carrying some weight. So
yeah, he might have thought he was putting pressure on you. He's putting more pressure on himself, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think he tried to pass the pressure over to me, but there's going to be a lot of Irish fans in there. My friend Mick Conlon, he's on the card as well. So it's going to be a heavy Brighton crowd, but also there's going to be a big Irish audience in there, and some of the Irish fans they're great boxing fans. They love boxing. I think it's their main sport over there, really, especially for the working class.
Yeah.
And
it's good.
Yeah, I'm going to enjoy entertaining the Irish fans and winning some of them over too.
It's going to be an amazing night. Just to finish, Harlem, we've got some quick fire questions for you that we like to surprise people with. Don't worry, they're not too bad. Number 1, speed or power?
Speed.
Boxing ring or football pitch?
I've got to say the boxing ring. You know, that's my art form. That's where you can develop your craft over years, you know, of solitude, and that's the path I've taken. That's the art form that I've developed. So the boxing ring.
Knockout punch or screamer goal?
Nothing compares to a knockout punch. You know, I know a screamer. You know, I remember the feeling from back in the day, but there is nothing, no feeling that I've ever come across could compare to a knockout. You know, in a moment where everything is on the line and you make a statement, nothing compares to that knockout blow.
Finally, training hard or cheat day?
Training hard is an everyday thing to me, so I'll have to say cheat day, because training hard is my day to day.
And it is your day today, and that's why you're 20-0. And,
it has to be.
We honestly, we hope it's 21-0 by the time March the 7th is over. And it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks for coming in for a second time, and let's make it a third time.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's been great, and yeah, I hope to come in and see you guys again soon.
Yeah, just keep coming back.
Hey, I'll be back.
Thank you.